Hard hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
On the last game of the year, no less. Damn it, Bailey.
He's saving it for the playoffs, like Jaylen.
Everybody's
He's saving it for the playoffs.
Like the starters, like Jaylen, like hopefully Shireman. I don't know what happened to him tonight. Saving it for the playoffs. Celtics with they made it slightly interesting here. Let the Hornets climb back in, but they finish on a high note. 61-21, John. Not bad. Not bad.
61-21.
Not bad for the Celtics.
Not bad.
We got what do we got? Allegedly, we have a week off now. That's the scuttlebutt. It's the rumor. We have a week off. We might be doing some Easter egg hunt show. That's what I'm hearing.
It's gonna be tough for me.
You're gonna have to get creative. We'll put it that way. You're gonna have to get real creative.
It's gonna be a tough one.
As will all of us. There might be a paper towel situation. Those who know. Might be a paper towel backdrop going on for
we'll see. Anyway,
for me.
Thank you guys for those of you jumping on here. These are the real ones. Game 82, Celtics defeat the Hornets.
Happy Sunday.
This was a nobody plays show. This is also the hey, I don't want to go to the game. Do you want my tickets for free show? Because that's what happened. I went to the game. And that was fun. Went with my daughters.
Yeah.
Do you want
to take my tickets?
Because this is the I can't sell them even. So if someone's just taking,
for sure. Yeah.
I
actually, to be honest, I had Bruins tickets last week, a few days ago, and I couldn't get rid of them, and I didn't go, and so sad state of affairs for the Bruins. But Celtics, at least like you could still get an entertaining game.
Yeah. I'm looking at the press conference room, and I'm just seeing a head just bobbing in and out. I'll show you what I'm looking at.
Heads.
Just bobbing in and out. We got to fix that, guys. Just bobbing.
But
it's gone.
It's not gonna stay that way. You always have this. You always seem to have this fear, John, but it always clears up.
I'll put it this way: there's a rule. You just don't get in front of the camera, guys. You just don't. You just stay down. You just don't stand in front of them.
But you also need to understand, I'm sure you do, but like people are just filtering in. They're just going to their seat, John. Like I think you got to let the guy walk to his seat. He might have to cross the camera.
I will not. Hi, Sherrod.
What's up?
What's up, Sherrod?
What's up, Hotel Sherrod?
Oh yeah, hydrate up.
Guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I see you're a little screen right now. Yeah, there we go. I love it.
On your right.
Guy is ready. We're going to put this up here. Strange season. Felt at times like it was going the wrong way, but here we are, 61. Title defense. What we've been waiting for. Thanks for the coverage, CLNS. Thanks, Trevor. Thanks for the donation. Thanks for watching. Sincerely, we do appreciate that. Shout out Greg, who was there with his boy, I believe James from Brighton. Spotted me at the game, said hello, says he likes this, likes what we do. So that's cool. Thanks a lot. Greg. That was fun. Very, very cool. To have Garden peeps out there. He was talking about hard hats, and I was like, I wasn't expecting. Yeah, I wasn't expecting.
Jimmy just woke up.
I wasn't expecting to go to the game tonight. I wish I did, and I wish I wore my hard hat. And I'm sorry, Jimmy. Yeah, is it a hard hat season?
It is officially hard hat season. And you know what? Because it is.
I was gonna say
the hard hat's gonna go on. Not because this was a hard hat game, but because it is officially now. It is hard hat season, and actually, I've got my other hard hat. I'll grab it at some point. The original, the OG hard hat. But
yeah,
here it is, guys. I mean, we've been crawling here to the finish line. Finally got here, and now we can actually talk about meaningful basketball moving forward. And it's hard hat season. Hard hats, lunch pails, steel toe boots. Get them ready. Get them out. Get the boots polished. Get the lunch pails out. Make sure the hard hats are. Can you hear this crank in the back? Hear that? I'm cranking it.
I think
tight.
you're locking
It's
in,
tight
Jimmy.
here.
You're
This
locking
isn't going
in.
anywhere. This
You're
isn't
locking
going.
in.
This is
That's
not going anywhere
Let's
for the
go.
playoff. Literally locking in.
Let's go.
Yeah, to answer your question, John, it is officially hard hat season. Get them in now. If you guys want a hard hat, order them now. They'll get shipped this week and they'll be ready to go for the playoffs. So
yeah.
Exciting times.
It is exciting, and I mean, we said it the whole time. We said it the whole season. This is going to be a meaningless slog of a season, because
Nice,
there's
John.
nothing.
Way to sell it.
I mean, look, these guys stuck with it. The real ones stuck here, but like nothing has. Same like last year, nothing's mattered for so long, and really, once you've experienced the highs, you're never going to be able to convince yourself that anything matters until the games really start to matter. And we're finally here, and the games matter, and now it's good. Now it's like, okay, now
we're back.
But you know what? Also, it's a clean slate for everybody, for the fans, for the players, for us. You just judge what's in front of you, and you get to react and overreact because it matters. It can't be like, well, we're not even trying. Now it's all real. Now it's real. So now, exactly that. There's people who believe, I'm one of them, that they're better than last year. The Brown situation changes the equation if he's severely limited, but overall, I think they're better. I think they didn't try all year. I think they got to 61 wins at a 75% effort, which is insane. They just, it just wasn't hard, like for them, they were they could win games with 3 guys out, by 20 points. They're still really, really, really good. So we'll see what happens here. The Brown thing is a wild card. We are going to talk about it. We don't have much of an update, but honestly, maybe you're tired of hearing the same story, but it is the only story that matters at this point right now, because ultimately you expect them to cruise through those first couple of rounds, assuming full health. If you don't have it, things get interesting, things get creative. We'll play Joe Mazzulla's comments, get your takes on them. I want to hear what the chat has to say, how they read into things, how they speculate about some things. We'll see. First off, before we get rolling, and we will talk a little bit about today's game as well, I also want to give my what I saw at the game sort of insights too, because it is always different when you get to be there. And I was sitting in a pretty good perspective, and I just wanted to give my take from up close. But again, the show as always is brought to you by Prize Picks, largest daily fantasy sports platform in all of North America. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS, get 50 instantly when you play 5. Code CLNS on Prize Picks, 50 instantly when you play 5. Prize Picks, run your game. We're also going to let you know about game time. And again, take the guesswork out of buying tickets. You're going to want to get in there when we'll start to show you what's going on when the Celtics schedule is announced and what it's going to cost you to get in there. But Game Time is your pal here. Download that app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. That's exactly what time it is. It's now no longer game time. It's rest time. It is chill out time. It is, look back, look ahead. We will do all of this. Those of you want to support the Garden Report Postgame Show with Super Chat donations, we are super thankful for that. But you just want to hang here and chill, save your money for the later rounds when things really matter. That's cool too.
Yeah.
As we said, Celtics beat the Hornets here with none of their starters playing, 93-86. Another game where I'm going to give you my first up-close observation, and this isn't anything that anybody hasn't seen.
I'm just surprised they didn't ask you to leave the game. Like security didn't come, nothing, nobody bothered you, John.
So my seats were near the Celtics bench, and I think Tatum side-eyed me a couple of times. I'm like, no, my beef's not with you, buddy. We're cool. You and I, we're cool.
I'm with my daughters.
So please don't yell at me in front of my daughters. This is so embarrassing. Would have been funny if they all just stood around me and they're like, this guy.
Yeah.
I've been nice all year. I think that this is fake news, that I'm some sort of hater. I've given them the benefit of the doubt. I'm dubious over the health and the treatment and the approach of the Jaylen Brown injury and how that went down, but we'll only know when we see him game 1. But I'm not starting the show with that. We'll start with game observations. My first one, which cracks me up, and we're going to hear from Joe Mazzulla shortly. Joe Mazzulla means it when he says he's trying to win every game. Like, it is ridiculous. The level of intensity and focus that he has on the bench. He's barking at guys. He's shaking his head when Peterson does something wrong. I mean, just for example, one time Drew did something he didn't like. He's like, come on, man. Like guys who have barely played all year, like, you know what you're supposed to be doing. He's riding the refs like crazy. And they're just like, dude, it's game 82. And Joe is not letting it go. We'll hear from Joe
what do you
right
make of what you guys just went through in the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, I said that to the guys. It's a testament to the guys, really. Them, the locker room, their competitive nature, their mentality. The ability to handle good times and not so good times, and the standard that they hold themselves to. So it goes back to the duality, right? It's what we did is great, and now it doesn't matter because we have to continue the journey. So, but it starts with those guys in the locker room.
Joe, John just mentioned it, but that's the most wins by a team coming off a championship in almost 10 years. Is that something you guys will take pride in and discuss a little bit?
I didn't know that. But to me, it just, again, shows the competitive nature of the guys. And you have to be grateful for, what's going on right now. At the same time, what was going on in December and January, because it's all a part of the journey. And all those things add up into, trying to put experiences together, to get ready for something bigger. So it really is just a testament to the locker room, to the guys. I mean, they're the ones that have to play every night. They're the ones that compete. They're the ones that, deliver night in and night out, put their bodies and minds on the line. And, if it wasn't for them, he wouldn't be in that situation.
Joe, you like to say you take something from every game. Obviously, you didn't have everyone available, but you get in a close game, get to practice execution in a close game. What do you as a coach take from that, even though you don't have everyone available, and what does it do for those guys to get to play in that environment?
Yeah, I mean, it's not about having everyone available. It's about just having the same standard. And to me, the guys, executed and played to the standard and the level. And I thought towards the end of the game, JD, Jordan, and Nimi making some big-time plays there. And but that's what it's about, is just playing to the level of standard, executing. You knew they were shooting. They were 1 for something from 3 in the first half, so you knew that they were going to go on a run, and we had to manage that. And they took the lead, and our guys would be able to execute and poise. And so, regardless of who's in, who's out, there should be an attention to detail to the level of execution. I thought the guys did that tonight.
And then we've talked a lot about Luke's growth this year. There's been a lot of times lately where guys are screening off the ball, cutting off the ball, and he's just sort of standing there and ready to make the right read. What have you seen from him as a passer, not like outside of just the pick and roll situation?
Yeah, he's just he has a high basketball IQ, and he can play against he can play different offenses, different lineups, different coverages. Tonight I thought they did a good job going to a triangle and 2, and it kind of threw us off our rhythm a little bit. And then Luke and Nimi together were able to kind of stabilize that on the offensive end for us and kind of gave us a shot. But just his versatility is huge for us, his physicality and his basketball IQ.
Joe, there was a moment in the fourth quarter, I think, after JD found Pritchard for a 3. You seemed pretty excited with JD. Were you looking for him to be more aggressive, or kind of what was your message to him?
I think that was the play where he had the back tip, and it's just those plays matter. They're huge, and I think that those plays to me define the game. As JD's back tip, I think we missed a layup, and then they came back, and he was able to. Those are the plays that we talk about, right? I think it was a back tip to a transition 3 to a timeout, and it's like that's what separates you. Jordan had one of those with the corner 3 and then 2 offensive rebounds towards the end and some in traffic rebounds. So you just have to understand that it's not the highlight plays. It's not the G League MVP isn't the reason why you're going to play for us. That's a great thing, but it's more about being able to make those type of plays and stick to those discipline and attention to detail.
And then Payton obviously plays like 38 minutes tonight. Was there ever a doubt that he was maybe going to sit this one? Is that just him telling you, like, I want to fully play full minutes and fully compete?
Yeah, I think it's just a standard and the expectation that's what he does night in and night out, and he takes pride in that.
Final question, yeah. So down the stretch, there was kind of this competitive Tommy Port award race between Luke and Derek. And joking aside, I mean, you just said you play for this team for the things that don't show up on the stat sheet necessarily. What does it say about this team that there is that competitive drive to rack up things like Tommy points, to play like a Celtic, and how do you bring that into the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just goes back to the responsibility and the ownership that we have, that we don't have the ability to play for something like that if the people before us didn't set the standard and the expectation. And guys take pride in going after that on a nightly basis, and that's what gives us a chance every single night. And that, to me, not from now or here, all you're going to talk about is playoffs, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, what wins a preseason game, a regular season game, a playoff game, it's all the same stuff. It all comes down to the margins, all comes down to the attention to detail, all comes down to the things that impact winning in that process. And, the guys don't get distracted by, does this game mean more than this? Like, that locker room has done a good job of creating an environment where every game's important, and all the Tommy points and all those things go into the margins and the things that impact winning. So we have to be even better at that, and that starts with practice on Tuesday. Thanks.
A very creative press conference for the guys asking questions about this game. Joe, well rested, and obviously was able to handle it today. There's the
head.
There's the head, and there's Twister.
Oh yeah, we allow that.
We allow it. Twist can do whatever he wants. Anyway, that's Joe Mazzulla hanging out, talking about the game. I grudgingly put this one up here because we have to, but I don't want people to be mean. Thanks for another phenomenal year. I really appreciate it. Make sure people like Bobby with his sample size learning disability have a job. Obviously, not a learning disability,
Hey,
but Bobby
we
does
love
have a.
Bobby.
It
Just
is
for who he is.
mean, but I know you're kidding, and I know you don't mean it. I know we like to tease Bobby, but he's terrific at his job, and we couldn't do this show without him. He's phenomenal, and everybody knows it. Yeah, it's a little mean. And yeah, Bobby getting bodied in the donations. I guess I guess
Hey,
if you guys want to make sure, want to make sure that your insults to me get through, put some friggin' money behind it. Luke's up.
That commercial you did with D White was hilarious.
Yeah,
Can we get the origin story and why are Tommy points important to you?
Luke on his commercial.
Well, the real origin, we have like this little organizational thing called like the 3T Awards that kind of recognizes people of good teammates and stuff like that, which Derek won last year. So I was already prepping a slander campaign for that. Well, I've been thinking about that for a long time. And then the Tommy Award thing came up in the interview the other day, and I was like, well, I gotta, and Tommy Awards I think are important to me because a desperation for individual recognition, which is what it's all about, I think, in the end. Right?
This guy is awesome.
Luke, you've a lot of growth this year, a lot more minutes, like the pick and roll with JT, and just in general, like you as a passer, though, like there are a lot of possessions in this game where you're standing at the top of the key, waiting for Payton to cut, waiting for off-ball screen, stuff like that. Where do you think you've improved most as a playmaker, and how has the impact of like playing with this group helped that?
I think it's something that like I've always, just from like growing up playing the game, that was kind of just like playing very connected and kind of five guy type stuff. I feel like just like as time's gone on and just understanding guys' strengths better and better, just like helps with all that. And then especially the last couple of games playing with like Peyton and Sam and stuff. I mean, even going back to like Maine with Sam, we played that style a ton. And like obviously with our usual group and stuff, the looks get kind of different, but I think just growing a feel of like what great shots look like for us and always trying to get those things. And just trying to, especially with, like the usual group and starters and stuff, I feel like there's a lot of attention that they draw and a lot that you can kind of leverage of playing off of that. And I feel like we've got a smart group that, of like complementary players that are always like finding the right spots and stuff. So frankly, I feel like it makes it pretty easy on me, but on, JT, JB, Derek, like everyone just kind of is pretty connected mentally in terms of just like finding that spot and finding that read and just playing from there. And it's hopefully something we can just continue to do and continue to grow in.
Luke, that appeared to be a very physical game. I'm wondering how you felt like you fared in that, and then just more broadly, as you've been focusing your attention like closer and closer to the rim, how you fared with increased physicality as part of your day-to-day life.
It definitely was obviously like Nurkic and Diabate and Gibson and stuff, and just having a lot of guys that were just crashing and stuff like that, where rebounding was really important. I feel like, games just kind of come and go of different styles of play, and it's something you just kind of have to accept and embrace to be able to continue to compete and just continue to try to win games. And I feel like, yeah, I mean, just like embracing that side of the game and knowing that it's an aspect that's important. I feel like especially our guys in the last couple of minutes made some great plays in terms of getting some rebounds or making plays around the rim defensively. And I think that was what kind of helped us be able to get that win. But yeah, it was just an important element that you need to be able to compete. And especially, as we get to the playoffs, that just kind of ramps up even more.
Look, you attempted a three today, which is not common as it used to be. When you first got to Boston, that Oklahoma City game, you hit a couple to save the Celtics. Like, what's gone in? Can you still shoot threes? Do you have the ability? And when you shoot threes, and you haven't shot for a long time. Do you looking like that's a long shot? Like, what's the mentality like when you shoot a three when you haven't shot one for a while?
It is kind of just feels a little different. Obviously, it's something I did a lot of, but I mean, I feel like just as going in my career, I feel like just finding the spots where you can really best help the team, best succeed, and really just optimize whatever that looks like. And I mean, it's fun to still shoot one here occasionally, and that's what it's just kind of doing what the game calls for, and it's kind of that same thing of just whatever's going to help the team win the game is what you want to do. And obviously, there's a lot more possessions and offensively are a lot different looks than what we're kind of used to in terms of generating offense. So, just being obviously I have changed my game and adjusted that, but all of it's about just trying to find out what works best for our team and to serve that role.
Luke, tonight's game was largely won by guys who haven't played a lot this season down the stretch. And you've had moments in your career where you've played a lot less. This year, you've been pretty consistent in the rotation. But do you remember when you were, 8 games DNP, like what that was like? And when you're actually sitting on the sideline, like how do you kind of get through those games? What are you thinking about? What's your kind of focus to be the best teammate you can be? That it's kind of the message for those guys now too.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was in that position more so and to me, I was kind of went from a part of you enjoy playing basketball. So then with the opportunities that you have to play, making the most of that, which games like now are part of that. But then also, just 3-on-3 in the random times before the game or practice or shoot around and all that is. But then also I feel like honestly, a lot of it's just you want to enjoy your time and have a good time and connect with guys and enjoy playing basketball. And I think there's just a lot of peace to come in life of accepting the position that you're in and then just doing the best with that versus trying to fight it and want to be in a different one. You can spend a lot of time worrying about things that you can't really control, but then when you just take the opportunity that you have and do the best with that, then you can have days like today where a lot of guys came in and be able to contribute, and you can have peace about knowing that you did your job well, just as you did the day before and the day after, and it might just look a different way every time. So, I feel like that's kind of just what I've been taught kind of through my life, and I feel like it's kind of the only thing that you can actually attitude you can have that you can actually do something with versus trying to control things that are outside of what you can.
Do you ever share that wisdom with the younger guys, or is that just something that's kind of unstated?
A year or two ago, I remember Craig might have brought me in or something, and as Sam can tell you, I can ramble if allowed to. So
this press conference is
probably
never
much to
gonna
the
end.
chagrin of people in
Seriously.
the room. And then I realized this is probably not good for anybody as much as I just like to lecture and I have a running stream of conscious in my head that
format
doesn't
is
need to get
halfway
out there.
over.
So what that was, whatever that's
If
worth.
there are questions left, Luke's going to answer them. Oh, they let him go.
They pulled the plug.
They pulled Luke. Luke was like, I'm just getting warmed up.
He's still talking.
He's still going. That was Luke Kornet. Thank you, Luke, for oh boy. A Pritchard one too? I don't think so. What do we think?
Wow. Yeah, why not?
Payton, this was a
All right,
close
we'll listen
game
to
down
Luke.
the stretch. You got to play crunch time minutes. Even though you don't necessarily have the full rotation and standings wise, this game didn't mean anything. What's the value of playing in a close game like this? How much did you enjoy it, and what can you take from this into the playoffs?
And for me, it's just another opportunity to grow, be in a different situation that, I'm not necessarily always in, and the ball be in my hands more. So it's always a growth step and learning how you can affect the games in different ways and stuff like that. So I take advantage of every one of these opportunities because I'm going to use it to grow and keep expanding my game.
And then getting to play with Luke for as long as you have. What have you seen from him in terms of growth as a playmaker this year? You know, he's making plays in the short roll. He's at the top of the key, passing to you on cut, stuff like that. What have you seen from him in that regard?
I mean, he's just a well-rounded basketball player. He's unbelievable. He's a great passer. He's very good at knowing what spots to get to. Like when you're driving, he's just as a lob threat. He gets to dunkers. He's in the roll. He's very good at like catching out of the roll and passing to open guy right away. So he's just very underrated player. People don't give him enough credit because obviously the talent we have on this team. But like Luke he's a very talented player.
Payton, it wasn't too long ago that a game like this would have been a huge opportunity for you. Obviously, your role has changed. I'm wondering, what kind of conversations have you had with guys like JD or Baylor, for whom this is kind of a big moment? These last few games down the stretch have been big moments.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of leadership responsibilities do you feel like you have in these kind of games for them?
I mean, for them, it's just an opportunity to showcase what they're able to do and help winning. And I thought, especially JD and Jordan at the end there, they came through for us and pretty much won us the game. So I was very proud of them. And but yeah, just them take another step and keep growing. JD just signed an NBA contract, so that just shows his work he's put in the last 3 years. Obviously killed the G League, got MVP, so I think he's ready for the next step. So
Payton, now that the regular season is over and you're no longer can be seen as going for an award, do you think you've had a season worthy of the Sixth Man of the Year?
I feel like I put myself in the best situation possible to win it, and so I'm proud of that. And I feel like I've done my job as far as helping this team come off the bench and be a spark and try to be the best bench player in the league. So, but at the end of the day, if I get voted for it, it's an unbelievable award and be a great honor. But at the end of the day, it's out of my control if they vote for me or not. So, but we'll see though.
You don't have any kind of you're going to campaign for it? Are you going to put the word out?
No, there's no need for that.
Do you want it that bad?
There's no need for that. If I get it, like I said, it's not going to stop my journey. It's not going to stop the work I'm going to put in. This is just be another stepping stone. People can write about it if I get it, saying that I have an award. But at the end of the day, I feel like, I'm just looking to keep growing and growing. And I feel like the future, I don't know what that holds.
I know you guys got a week off here in practices and all that. What's the dynamic like right now? Obviously, Jaylen's trying to come back from the injury and, be ready to go. You guys are pretty flexible with moving in and out of lineups and stuff like that. But as you guys try to prepare and he tries to push back, what's that like of trying to be ready for, maybe he'll go, maybe he won't, and how you guys have to adjust if that happens?
I mean, it's not hard at all. If he's able to play, then we go ahead and play. Like, we know how to play with him, and obviously he's, one of our guys. So we'll adjust, and if he doesn't, guys will have to step up and fill those in different areas. So our team is well balanced and very deep. So, obviously we want everybody healthy and to be ready to play at a high level. But if not, guys got to be ready to step up.
Payton, kind of following that up, just your thoughts on the 61-win journey of the regular season and now gearing up for the next season and playoffs.
Great season again. Obviously, it's very
That's
special
not
to win
following that up.
60 games in a
It's
year.
not the same topic at all.
We're definitely proud of that. And,
it's not at all following up a Jaylen
in the middle of the
question.
year, but we finished really strong going into the playoffs. And then now it's, with the
John,
playoffs, it's just a
you're gonna get
7-game
the
series.
TV guys
No matter how long it takes, we got to get it done.
From now on. So
And,
just
we're battle tested, but
appreciate this.
Oh boy!
hopefully we can take steps and keep getting better and better and get another championship.
You ready for the
Just wanna get your
Roachies?
impression of the Pritch, please.
And the Dukes. Oh my God, I can't take
when
that.
you first saw that, what'd you think?
Roachie,
Were
I
you
love.
laughing? Like what?
I know.
Thought it was
something.
Roachie's great.
I thought it was very catchy, and people picked it up quickly.
Dukes.
And I said, I'm gonna have to get a percentage of that because I see it everywhere. So
Remember
we
Duke
made that
8
happen,
last
and
year.
it's still blowing up. So I don't know. It's fun though. It's like I said, it's catchy, and I like it. Fans like it. So hopefully it continues.
Is that kind of
Oh,
an
we got the
example?
Celtics shirt
Obviously,
on.
The Converse still.
She had the Celtics
just,
jacket
just
and
your growth
the chain.
as a player, and just like your
Had it all.
ascension through the
Big
NBA
chain,
is now.
yeah.
Something that's attached to you. The shoe deal. Does that show your growth? Off
Sure.
the
I
floor?
feel like it's just, I hope it represents that I'm on the right path. Then my hard work is taking me to these places. So for me, it just shows that like I shouldn't stop what I'm doing and continue every day to get better and better and things like this that you never thought maybe were going to happen open up for you. So, like I said, you never know what the future can hold.
All right. I'm not going to go away yet in case they roll someone else up there.
Who else
But
could
I
they
don't
roll? I don't
believe
think
they
they
will.
can.
Hauser?
I think they will.
No, I don't think so.
Baylor?
No,
No, he
not
didn't have a
after
good
that.
game.
Baylor's laying some bricks
Yeah.
in this one. Take
Baylor's-
the Gatorade away. That's how we know. Take the Gatorade out of there.
Twist.
All right, we're out.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. We are back,
Jeez.
and we are we're right back where we were before, which is
We're back.
yeah, which is nowhere. But anyway, each of those guys, with that spoke, I had a comment on that I wanted to talk about.
We just lost Sherrod.
We did lose Sherrod. He'll be back in a second. Starting out with Pritchard is an animal. We see it as well. Again, I'm just giving. It's not like, oh, John went to his first game, but I mean, like I said, it's just different. You see it, how hard he's working for every inch that he gets, and all of his space is insane. Especially in a game like this where he's the only guy. He was getting blitzed, doubled, everything, and he put up 34. Insanely impressive for Pritchard being the center of attention. And I know it's the Hornets, A, and B, they're without their guys, so they're also playing a lot of B teamers. But there's some athletes out there, and they were just blitzing the hell out of him like crazy. And hold on one second, sending a note here. So I was super impressed by that. I mean, it's not, people will say it's stat padding. He's putting up 25 shots in a game, but we've talked about it before. And I think Noah makes a really good point that it's hard for him to be effective if he doesn't get to go full Pritchard, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And yeah, it might look like stat padding or being a tryhard out there, and yes, take the competition into consideration to an extent. But all that being said, he still looks like the best player on the court by far. So it is a testament to him. And it is, again, the style of play that he has allows him to put up those types of numbers. So I don't really think of it as stat padding. I mean, he got to make the most of your opportunity. He's still a guy that is coming off the bench. And yeah, he would start on some teams, obviously. But he still feels like he has a ton to prove out there. And so I don't blame him for going hard. I actually love that he does. And he owes it to himself, and he owes it to his teammates out there, because he's playing with a lot of guys on the court that don't get that opportunity either. They don't want to play with guys that are going 50% because they're going 100%. This is important to them.
We got Sherrod back. Yep.
Earlier in the show, John, you kind of started off with like how you love how Joe Mazzulla goes, full tilt regardless.
Awesome.
But I respect that about him, because he's got to treat all of his players like this matters, and it does matter to a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys are playing for next year. There's going to be a whole new draft class. Some of these guys are going to be fighting for roster spots, and he owes it to his guys to treat them the same way he would treat Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Porzingis and all those guys. And yeah, it's game 82. It means absolutely nothing in the standings and moving forward, but it still means a lot to the players who are out there on that court fighting for, playing time, their careers, like film that scouts are going to be looking at and opposing GMs and all that stuff. So I love seeing that effort, whether it's the coaching staff, whether it's Pritchard.
I do.
Maybe dog Shireman a little bit, but like, it means something.
Shireman's diving into the seats too. I mean,
right.
They play.
Davison getting the contract for this, before this game.
Yeah, look, the stay ready guys are going to play hard when they're out there. I was super impressed by two things in this game. Three things. Like I said, multiple things. They all played hard. They really did. They all played really hard. They did not treat this like 82 and absolutely could have. Small snapshot moments. And again, things that I get to see while I'm there. Hauser, he was playing. Things weren't going great in the second half. He was working his ass off. I think he was the only guy left with the bunch of scrubs late in the second when Charlotte had closed the gap a little bit. Maybe he wasn't super happy with how he was going. And he's walking off the court at halftime and he's huffing and puffing. And Abby stops him because, they had a scheduled TV interview. And he just goes, takes a big sigh and shakes his head and pants. He's like, I don't want to do this now. He was like, not because it's Abby or the thing. He's like, I'm annoyed because I wanted this to go better. He was like really like into the moment, into the game, wasn't super happy with how the last few minutes had gone for them. And he's like in total full-blown competitive mode. If you're in vacation land, this game doesn't matter mode, and that's the coach reflects it on down, you're just walking off like, oh, that sucked. But it wasn't. He was fully like, man, like super, super into it. You saw it all the way through here. It was, again, I was really impressed by the level of compete from all of these guys. And Joe, like I said, he's in there. He's working the refs, and they're just like, dude. And he's just constant chatter, and he's up the whole time. His level of focus and attention on this game, it sounds like bullshit when they say it in pressers, but it means it. He's coaching to win. Absolutely. He's coaching to get an edge in every moment that the team is out there. It's pretty impressive.
It's the Mazzulla effect. I mean, that's what we're seeing.
Because that stuff can wear on people, right? Like a tough guy coach has a shelf life, but I don't think Joe does that. It's focus. It's not being an asshole and one of these like Ime, Tibbs, those guys, they have expiration dates because people only want somebody to dog. I don't think Mazzulla's doing that. He's just hyper focused on attention to detail and playing the right way.
Well, he's also has the benefit of the fact that he's already won a championship. And when you have that type of effect on players and they know what the end of the road looks like, it's easier to buy into that. And I think with Joe, the big thing is consistency. His ability to treat the 12th, 13th, and 14th guy no different than Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis. That gives him a different kind of credibility in that locker room. It gives a different kind of consistent edge to his players. The point that you made about Hauser, that's the Mazzulla effect in effect. That I guarantee you, if this were another coach who maybe had a little bit more of a laid back approach, he may not have responded that way. It's to the point where I think it's almost ingrained in them from a muscle memory standpoint that I just got to keep working, because even if I'm doing well, I can be better. And if I'm not better, my coach is going to going to really get into me about that. That's not the way it is everywhere. I mean, you mentioned Tibbs. I mean, there are times you look at the teams that Tibbs rolls out there and they're getting run into the ground when they're up by 40 points. And it's like, what the hell are they still doing out there playing 47 minutes? That's not happening with Joe. Joe is going to push these guys as hard as he needs to, and he's going to be consistent in the job that he has to make sure that they see that edge in him over and over and over again.
Jimmy?
Facts my dog. No,
I was waiting for facts my dog.
I started this conversation. Now I gotta say the same thing over again. I started with the complimenting of Joe and his intensity and why it matters to him and why it should, because again, he has, as the head coach, he's treating it the right way. He's treating each player in a sense like equals. When they're out there, he understands that it still matters to these guys. Maybe the refs wanted him to go easy, but that's not how he's wired, and he shouldn't be wired that way. And again, that's, I think there's some apologies coming up at some point, not in this show, but Joe might be involved in a couple of people's apologies. And I think a lot of it has to do with maybe doubting some of the things that we thought Joe was capable of. And maybe I'm going to be one of those guys. Maybe I'm not, but regardless, he's put this team in a position right now to succeed. And to your point, John, he is hyper-focused. He is he is an aggressive coaching style. He's intense. And I think that the one thing I've noticed, though, is that his players don't take it the wrong way. His players kind of love that about them, which tells me that they're on the same page. He respects them. He doesn't coach down to them. He doesn't act like he knows the game more than they do. He's just like very, I think, pointed in what he believes in. But to his credit, he's been able to convince his guys to believe in that same style as well. So it works.
Facts, my dog. Friggin' amen. Facts, my dog. We always talk about everyone's looking for apology camps for a bunch of stupid shit. The biggest one ever, and we've eaten this one fully, is Mazzulla. That's me. I think maybe everybody on the show, and like 75% of the chat, like ready to fire him after season 1, like. And I was like, I wouldn't be shocked if they did. And I don't know if it's a bad thing, because you got a championship team and you're trusting it to this rookie who might be in over his head. But I was always more concerned with temperament. Like, can he make adjustments? Right. Does he have the temperament to be able to do that? In these moments, can he coach these guys? We saw him struggle with the 3 guards and deference to Marcus Smart? And is he going to be able to, do what's necessary here? And not only did he obviously answer the bell last year by, or is he going to get out coached in game? Is he a good preparation coach, but a bad in-game coach? We've seen him how good an in-game coach he is. I think this whole season was him just not goofing off, trying everything to see what works. I think there's a I make Belichick comparisons all the time. He's salty because he thinks we're idiots, and he's right, because everybody in that press room staring back at him knows about 1/1,000,000th of what Joe does about basketball. Even the guys who think that they know ball deeply, Joe is on several levels beyond that. And the things that he considers and the things that he tries to do and the positions he puts people in is just insanely high level. And you see that throughout the course of the season. I do think they're ready to play a zillion different styles of basketball depending on who they play, and they've been doing it all year long, whether it's double big, how they do their defensive rotations, who they put where. There's so many different combinations that they can go to, and he's done it. So we were insanely all kind of wrong on Joe Mazzulla. I think I've always thought he's a savant level basketball mind, and he is, but he's just been awesome in terms of the way he's prepared this team. There's 100% buy-in from these guys that Joe's going to put him in the position to do that. And I don't think any of us could and would have said that about him a year ago.
Yeah, the one thing that Joe has, I think, recognized is that he has the privilege of taking more chances than most coaches because he has a team that has a ridiculous amount of talent that will allow them to maybe not be at their best, but still be good enough to win. Like, I honestly believe that if Joe Mazzulla would have rolled out with a similar approach to coaching these guys that he had last year, they would have won 70 games. Now, would they be better? No, I think that they would have pretty much done what they did last year, but guys wouldn't necessarily grow. And the potential to deal with an unexpected opponent who can do some things that maybe you hadn't prepared in the regular season against, it come back to bite you in the ass. That's not the case. I think they're ready for anything and everything teams could throw at them because they've tried a little bit of anything and everything and still more nice than not found a way to win.
Really quickly, Andrew, you are relentless. You are a little bit exhausting. But the thing that we said about Joe last game was whether the starters would play or not whether he would try to win. You got to get your facts right if you're going to be swinging it around in the chat, okay, my friend?
Facts, my dog.
He said, I don't know if the starters are going to play, and Tatum goes, well, I'm not playing Sunday. That's what we were talking about. Let's move on and let's bring in Bobby and Noah because we have things to talk about with Bobby and Noah about this game. And we have yet to talk about J.D. Davison acquitting himself
in this game. Which
he did, and we've been saving that. We've been saving that little goodie the whole time. What we have not had a chance yet to thank our pals over at Prize Picks for being valued sponsors, so we will start briefly with that. Prize Picks, check it out. For those of you who haven't, great time to sign up. Best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Pick more, pick less, at least 2 players shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. And this is the time to get into it. Basketball playoffs, hockey playoffs, baseball going on right now. Obviously, we've mentioned this before, but you can cross sports. You don't just have to pick 2 basketball players or 2 in the same game, whatever you want to do here. And when you download that app today, use the code CLNS, you get 50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, download the app, use code CLNS, 50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Check it out. Lots of cool free square opportunities and Taco Tuesday, Freaky Friday, all of these fun promotions. You want to check it out. So again, sign up for Prize Picks, promo code CLNS to get your, get in on the action right now. Prize Picks, run your game. Let's bring in Bobby and Noah. First takeaways here. I was at the game and I was giving my little recollections of the things that I thought that really
best view today.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Those obviously aren't mine. But yes, good vantage point right under the basket, checking things out. We're talking about multiple things. How hard Joe coached this game, how hard they overall played in it, watching Payton Pritchard get treated like a superstar by the other team and the level of attention that he was given, getting doubled and fighting through it and trying to get his shot off, trying to get to spots, trying to make plays. It wasn't a classic Payton Pritchard YMCA game where he's just like, I'm just going to shoot and torch these scrubs. He had to work really, really hard for his game tonight. And the thing I didn't get into, Luke Kornet's physicality. I love these back-to-back games against Nurkic. You talk about getting ready for the playoffs and getting battle tested. I think Nurk got the best of him last game. He kind of knocked him around a little bit. And Luke came back and he's like, I'm not going to let that happen to me tonight. That was another thing I wanted to kind of get in on. But those are some of my snapshots from today. Guys, take it away.
Yeah, the three guys who'll matter for the playoffs, obviously Pritchard and Kornet and Hauser as well, who I thought was pretty good in this one. So they're all three of them are going into the playoffs in a pretty good place. We've had the questions with Pritchard against the good teams recently. You know, some of the inconsistency we've seen from him over the last handful of weeks here, a month or so, I'd say is something to watch as the playoff difficulty ramps up round by round. But I think he's in a good place. And that's a good point there about his ability to exploit mismatches and do some of the stuff that the normal players on the team would do. You didn't have anybody in this game out of the three ball handlers, which were mostly Pritchard, Shireman, who was on the ball a ton in this one, and Davison. Two of those guys weren't able to exploit the mismatches and, you know, be able to run the offense the way that the Celtics normally would. But Pritchard, I'd say relative to the rest of the team, is in a pretty good position to do that. And I think you guys heard after the game, too, I asked them what it's going to look like if Brown can't go or is limited or something like that. And he'll obviously be a pretty big part of that dynamic. When you think of like the next guys up, creators, shot makers, ball handlers, he's almost in that position where if Brown's limited or can't go, he's the guy who's going to be taking on those minutes and, more importantly, that responsibility.
To that point, really quickly, we have to roll this back. I know you guys were in on the press conference. We have not mentioned Jaylen Brown really much in this show. We've just talked about, you know, the same things that we've always talked about, and we don't know until we know. But what did you think of this soundbite here from Payton Pritchard? Here it comes. Right this second. It says it's playing.
Still
we'll
not
try it
hitting
again. Hit it again.
Week off here in practices and all that. What's the dynamic like right now? Obviously, Jaylen trying to come back from the injury and, you know, be ready to go. You know, you guys are pretty flexible with moving in and out of lineups and stuff like that. But as you guys try to prepare and he tries to push back, what's that like of trying to be ready for, you know, maybe he'll go, maybe he won't, and how you guys have to adjust if that happens?
I mean, it's not hard at all. If he's able to play, then we go ahead and play. Like, we know how to play with him, and obviously he's, you know, one of our guys. So we'll adjust, and if he doesn't, guys will have to step up and fill those in different areas. So our team is well balanced and very deep. So, you know, obviously we want everybody healthy and to be ready to play at a high level, but if not, guys got to be ready to step up.
Exactly how I feel, honestly. Like that's exactly what we should be wanting him to say.
No, wait a second. It's not what he said. That's correct in terms of their approach. It's the if. If has not been thrown into anybody's.
Bobby said if, though.
Huh?
Bobby said if in the question.
Yes, but he said if in the answer. He could have. You can also answer like, oh, Jaylen's going to be out there, but that he's talking like it's possible. That's what. That's like, it's uncertain. If Jaylen's definitely playing, he's not going to humor Bobby and go along with an if. The if to me was the part that, again, maybe you're right, and maybe that was it, and he is playing along on that answer. I'm asking your take on it, but the if kind of threw me, which is why are we talking about this in a hypothetical sense?
Yeah, it probably was just in response to the question. And
okay, so you didn't read anything into that?
I don't think so. And I think generally none of us know right now. Like, it's all going to be based on where he's at next weekend. So I think that's just reality right now. Is
Louise didn't like it. If Louise doesn't like the answer, guys, I got to tell you. Okay.
Joe said 100. Joe said 100%, which, I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, because we obviously have the KP thing from last postseason. So
I'm traumatized from Joe's assurances on
injuries. It wouldn't be any surprise for him to be wrong about that again. But why would he do that?
I mean, everything we've heard so far, from Jaylen's words to Ramona Shelburne's report on ESPN to Joe Mazzulla pregame, is that there is not a doubt that he is going to be on the floor when the ball tips on Sunday. That doesn't mean that he's never going to miss a game the entire playoff run, or things aren't going to go wrong, or he's not going to re-aggravate it. So my interpretation of things is more, Joe was answering about game one in the postseason. You're asking Payton, what if Jaylen is not available at some point? you could ask that question about Tatum. You could ask that question about anybody. Like,
come on.
What do you mean? Come on.
Tatum?
Yeah, I mean, you
Brown's
could.
hurt.
Right, but I'm saying that I didn't take it as like Pritchard has inside knowledge that Jalen's going to miss game one.
I don't feel that
Like-
way either. But I just don't think we know. I don't think anyone knows. I don't think Joe knows. I don't think Jaylen even knows yet whether he's going to be able to go.
Well, let me ask you this. I'll ask you this question. But Noah, answer this question. How are you guys going to be able to handle the Garden Report if Jimmy Toscano's not around?
I haven't.
What do you mean if Jimmy's not around? Is he not
Answer this
supposed to be around?
We'll miss his jokes. We'll miss his jokes
Yeah.
and humor.
Or
That's it?
What do you? Or what do
Yes, that's it.
That's
Jim-
all
And
it
all
is.
that's
going
his
anywhere.
positive spirit. I haven't heard your
Jimmy's-
voice yet today, so
Well done. I'll take that answer. Actually,
I
Yeah,
got you.
yeah.
yeah. Nobody's waiting for my like astute basketball observations. That's for sure.
I am.
By the way, I read a very mean Twitter thread like yesterday. It's like,
About
kinda
you?
hardcore. I came up in it. Yes, somehow I came up in it.
Somehow Jimmy caught a stray.
Took
It's
shrapnel. I took like
What is
All
that
right.
nasty?
massive stray.
okay. Okay. So how do we answer that Jimmy question?
I answered it. I said, we'll all have to step up and be a little bit funnier in his absence.
You think you're
Okay.
capable?
I don't
Was,
know.
was
Everybody
there
else
an
is gonna have
if?
to
Was
shoulder
there
a
an
little
if in
responsibility
her
too.
answer though? Was there an if in her answer? That's what
No,
I want to know.
I think this is not one of those sound bites that we can do this to. I think he was when you asked the question, honestly, I was thinking to myself, I was almost like, I wonder why you're asking it like that when we just got told he was going to play. And then I figured you're probably referring to like something goes wrong down the stretch more, because being available game one does not mean he's not going to run into any obstacles in the playoffs.
I think that
We also were not told he's going to play. We were not.
Yeah, I think
we were
the
not
team's
actually told.
expressing-
They're expressing
I think the team's
optimism. Joe was
expressing
optimistic he's
optimism,
going to play. He didn't confirm anything.
Didn't he
We're
say
assuming
100%?
it.
He said 100%.
He said he's
I don't
100%.
get it.
I think. Listen, I think
Hold on, we'll
Jaylen Brown's
play it.
going to
We'll
play.
play it. We'll
Get
play
a
it. We'll
shot.
play it.
Something underneath.
Well,
Can you explain any further what those shots were, what the goal was there?
Just part of the rehab process for him to get back to be his absolute best. So he's continuing to take care of himself, put himself in great position, to be ready for next weekend.
Do you have any specifics on that? Was it like a cortisone? Was it a PRP type of thing?
No idea.
No idea.
Joe, I know he was in that process of feeling it out, testing it, and kind of pushing through. It looked like he was getting ready to go in Orlando and then wasn't able to. And then, the last couple of games he's had to sit out. What ended up happening there? And was that kind of you guys just coming to a decision that, this is the priority now?
That was more, he makes that call. I mean, he knows his body better than anybody. He knows exactly where he's at. He knows where he needs to get to in order to be at his best, for what matters most. So, just the most important thing is trusting him and trusting his camp. And Drew Moore does a great job with him. Our sports science team does. So, he made the call to just put himself in the best position. And he's continuing to do that. So,
What's the confidence level he's going to be ready to go next weekend?
Mine? Oh, 100%. I'm confident in him, because of the work ethic he has, the mindset that he has, and the preparation that he puts himself in.
100%. Is that high enough for you, John?
100% that he's confident. That
Is that enough?
I read the transcript. I didn't hear it. I'm 100% because I'm confident in his ability to whatever. Again.
He's confident. He's 100% confident. That
100% confident in him because of his work ethic.
Right.
That he's going to play there.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Why
So
wouldn't
we don't
he play? He didn't. We have no reason to believe.
I was just going to get into that, Jimmy.
Yeah.
So
Theoretically, the shot should help him play. It should further improve his odds of playing, not lessen them.
So as far as I know, you do need some time after the shot, right? For it to work and to be able to go again. And, I don't know what the practice situation is going to be like for this week for him, but we don't know whether it was the PRP, which I think is what the Mitchell comparison we've been making was. He missed like 10 days after he got that when he had it last year. And the steroid injection, which I think just based on everyone I've talked to and, my understanding of the injury is that that's probably the way this went. So I don't know what the timeline is after one of those. But that's the only reason I leave it up in the air to some degree is because it takes some time for the shot to go.
Well, there's the two things. Is the best. I just wish they said, guys, this was always the plan. Like
This was always the plan.
But that's what
I was going to say. Like Jaylen told us 2 weeks ago, we have things lined up
heading
before
into
the
the playoffs.
postseason. So I know, like, I don't blame like the average fan that's, being normal and following Boston sports that saw that notification from ESPN yesterday and was like, oh my God, Jaylen got shots. But
No, he said
I woke
there's
up and I was like,
something
should I
coming
even
up.
write this up? Because we knew this was coming. It just confirmed. I was using the word shot last week with no evidence just because what else could it be? And then Ramona says it's a shot, but we got no more information than we were expecting. Like that was
we
not
were
a
all
news
guessing.
item.
You were all
Yeah.
guessing that he's going to get something.
And we're still guessing because we still don't know what it is.
We
That's the
still
problem.
don't know. We still don't know.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole thing. It's like, yeah, guys, it's always been what we're planning on doing. But Joe said earlier, it was his choice to stop playing. Oh, okay. So
that was interesting.
That's odd. So if he wanted to keep playing, he would have played and then not gotten the shot. That's what I didn't get about it. I just wanted clarity on simply that. Yeah, this is it. This shot gives him plenty of runway, ready to go, within there. And the timing of it is exactly timed to give him 10 days off prior to that and this and that. That would just be clarity, and it might very well be what's going on. It would just stop the questions. That's all, saying there. So I wish Joe had just kind of laid it out more that way.
So there's a good news here and a bad news. If we keep going off that Mitchell comparison, which I like here, because I think he was in a very similar situation to where Brown is now.
That would be ideal because that wasn't a long-term issue. That was like contained to the playoffs.
Oh boy.
He went into the playoffs. It worked. It was amazing. He averaged like 30 in the first round, looked like himself. Started the second round against the Celtics. He was scoring 30 every game too. And then boom, on a dime. I don't know whether he aggravated
He tweaked
it or...
his calf, I think. I don't think it was his knee.
Okay. So
it might have been related, but I don't think the knee is what ended up holding him out. It was something else that he had.
yeah, so he was dealing with a bunch of injuries at the time. I think Jaylen is too.
And it all balances. And like you see
Yeah.
Jaylen's leaning one side like that. He's not
Right.
helping his odds of not hurting something else.
So what this basically does is buys you more time, right? And that's, it's good that he's getting it right before the playoffs because that buys you the most time possible. But how much time does it buy? Like, is this 2 rounds? Does this get him through 3 rounds? Like, I don't know the specifics. I know you can't get another one for a little while after.
Maybe you
get one
can
of
because we
these.
don't know what the kind of shot is.
Right.
Like we literally don't. I couldn't believe it was such a weird report to me, and I don't know how this news breaking stuff happens. Like whether it was Jaylen's camp that gave that to Ramona or if it was the Celtics, but there was no information on what it was. And then I've seen so many doctors say like promoting healing is not the same as like lessening the pain, and both of those terms were in that initial release. So I felt like we got nothing new yesterday except for the fact that the big medical intervention that he was alluding to was an injection, which I don't think there's anything else it could have been. Like, is there even something else out there that's not an injection that could have been?
Cut it off.
No,
right,
but
like it's not.
It throws
So
into
that's why
question the
to
nature
me,
of the. Yeah,
It
throws
was
into
more
question the nature of the
confusing than
injury.
anything.
Yeah, it is. That's the
That
point.
is a good question. Yeah.
It's muddier.
I was like,
where
what is
you
this
just
report?
want-
They
Like,
keep
this is so-
they keep putting it on the injury report as this convoluted posterior whatever, which no one's ever heard of. And they put in the release weeks
It
ago
doesn't
that it was a
exist,
bone
yeah.
bruise. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't know what the injury is, which is the biggest problem here.
Yeah,
We
and then
think
the
it's a
Twitter
bone
doctors
bruise.
jump in there when they see the injection. They're like, "Yeah,
Twitter
no,
doctors
that
need
does
to be more careful.
a bone bruise. You don't treat it with an injection to help to speed up healing. Like they're like it has to be a different injury. Now it's like, oh, is it structural? Is it this and that? We're not going to know, and that's the whole point. It's either
Well,
going to
the
be
steroid was for the pain and the PRP was the healing, which I
Yeah.
think there's a thinking that wasn't PRP, but we don't know. So
Yeah.
we're all just guessing going into next weekend. The sentiment seems to be that he will be out there, and I think that's what we've all thought was going to happen.
Jaylen did make an appearance. I hadn't seen him since Orlando. Like I didn't even know if he was in the building. And then
Did you see him?
He took the floor he gave Charles Lee a hug at the end of the game. He was walking normal. So I was
Okay.
almost like, is he like on bed rest? Like I don't know how these things work, but he
Well, a
was
handful
here.
of guys weren't out there, right? So I think there's only so many
Yeah.
seats or whatever.
I know. I hadn't seen him at all, so I didn't
Yeah.
know if he was
Yeah.
here, but he is here.
I
He was
was in
here.
the back too. I don't know.
One of the Twitter doctors, based on just the limited information we have, and by no means an alarmist, was like, if it's a shot to do this and that, I don't think he's got a bone bruise. It might be, he said something like meniscus irritation, which is like short of a sprain and not quite a tear, but like something different. And that could explain lack of explosion and blah, 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 and this and that. So again, who knows? We're not going to get the answers. You're just going to see what Jaylen Brown looks like in game 1 and call it and then
that might
just
explain why the
go from
rest
there.
wouldn't have helped either, if that's how that was going.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. So we're off and running. We're off and running with that. And again, we'll see. He might practice. He might talk. You might get more from Jaylen during the course of the week. But yeah, it was weird. He hasn't been out there at all. I was looking for the bench. I didn't see him come out there. The rest of the guys were out there.
That's pretty normal for him, though. Typically this season when he's at a game,
weird.
he watches from the locker room. Certain guys do it more than others. Like Al always is on the bench during those moments.
Al's
But everybody
front and
has their
center.
own
Yeah.
routine.
Chris,
Al's like on his feet.
Yeah.
Chris
Cape,
up his little crowd
Al's
pumps and comes back in the locker room.
Yeah, KP was half the game, and this and that. So, yeah. Other thoughts, takeaways from the game itself tonight. Obviously, a legendary Luke Kornet press conference. We're gonna roll that back a little bit later. I think Luke would have kept talking if they didn't pull him off the podium. But takeaways from tonight.
Well, I know you thought JD just looked so relieved by the contract and totally different guy tonight.
That's not what I said, but I think there's a reality that a lot of people have wondered why JD. What was that?
No, I'm just making fun of Bobby trying to speak for you.
Yeah, so I think JD, is in one of many guys that's looked really, really good in the G League and then struggled in the NBA. And there's different reasons for what makes that transition difficult. I think for him, a big part of it is just his role. And he talked about it pregame, like he usually has the ball in his hands the entire game in Maine, and he obviously is not going to be that in Boston, but thought he looked good alongside Pritchard, and he was kind of playing off ball at times, on ball at times too. But this is the thing. I think people underestimate how much of a mental game this is, and how much of a mental thing it is to fight for an opportunity to be in the NBA when you go in for 5 minutes and know you may not get another chance for 6 weeks, and maybe this is going to be your opportunity to never play again for the Celtics because you played so bad. They carry. I always say every shot that they take, those guys, it's like shooting a medicine ball. There's so much pressure, and he did get a huge side of vote of confidence
he rimmed
from the
out
organization
twice tonight too. Yeah.
Yeah, he looked, even though he didn't shoot great, but you could tell he was completely different as far as just the way he was attacking. He was driving to the basket. He wouldn't have had the audacity to do some of those drives on Wednesday versus Orlando, but he was playing with a sense of Brad Stevens called him up yesterday and said, "We see what you're doing. We see the strides you've made, and we believe in you, and we're giving you a 2-year contract." And that, the reality is he did not have that vote of confidence 2 days ago. And I think about Payton Pritchard. He signed a big contract, or ended up being not a big contract for what he's been producing, but you could tell that after he signed that deal, he just played different. When you're not playing for money, that's when you have a team that has 6 guys that are playing for a contract, it sucks. You can see it on the floor every single day. And I think the Celtics have really benefited from not having guys that are playing for contracts. JD was playing for a contract at the highest degree. He is playing for an opportunity to play in the NBA. He was telling us where he's from. There are no indoor basketball courts. His whole town's behind him. His mom is going to church praying for him every day to get this opportunity. It's hard to just come out there and play basketball when there's so much pressure on it. And he's a clutch player. In the G League, he hits big shots and big moments, but this is another level of you're fighting for your survival. And I think he didn't have an incredible game today, but you could see that a little bit of that weight was lifted off his shoulders, and you saw spurts of what has made him the best player in the G League this year.
Yeah, and I like the approach for this one. He was making good passes. He was taking good shots. And again, he could have had that second 3 right after the floater, and maybe that puts him on a roll there. But you made the best point, I thought, is that if he had the opportunity to play 10 games in a row, you might see some momentum build. You might see him shake off some nerves or whatever else seems to be afflicting him right now. And I think even over a 2 or 3 game sample size here, we saw that happen. I'm intrigued by them signing him because we've talked about it. I do think they need guys on the lower side of the roster who work their way up into roles while other guys maybe head out or get traded or whatever might end up happening this summer. And obviously our eyes are most focused on the backcourt. And, we had Fisher reporting earlier this year that Shireman could be part of that dynamic if they move on from Holiday. And then maybe Davison's on the back end of that, where you play him if guys are out next year. You maybe work him into a role 2 years from now when he's 23, 24. I still think he's a very long way off from impacting the NBA. But I mean, this stuff happens in I know it's not baseball, John, but guys develop for 4 or 5 years in certain sports and really slow track their way to a role. And I would we've gotten to know him so much at this point. We've seen it just grow and grow and grow in Maine. And I would love in 2027 for him to actually have a role on this team that we've watched slowly develop over time. It's probably a little optimistic to say that that's going to happen. And I know Noah reported that the deal is non-guaranteed for next year. So he might not even be back after this, but I do hope, and it seems like they've been committed to actually seeing him become something here. And I know there's a ton of reason to doubt that. But this was just a little bit of a momentum toward him staying and actually developing into something here.
And I'll just add, I think what the move to sign him at the last hour, as much as it is, I think, a vote of confidence for him, it's also a signal a little bit to everybody else that this is the way the Celtics want to do things. Like they want to.
I think it was a reward
yeah,
for what he's
it's a reward. And Joe said, like, we wanted to show him that, like, we're rewarding you. And it kind of brought me back to, like, the way they've been promoting assistant coaches from within the organization, even like a Jeff Van Gundy. They weren't going to put him as the lead assistant when there were guys that have been working their way up the bench. And I remember Adam Himmelsbach reported that over the summer. Like, they want to show that if you stick with us, and he's been there for 3 years, he's run the show for them. He's allowed guys like Baylor Shireman to go up to Maine and have like a great developmental track there. And now he comes back here, and now he has like a pretty big, financially, this is a huge move for him, regardless of whether he gets the contract next year. Like this, he's been playing on a two-way for a few seasons. So yeah, I thought that it was really cool, and it made a lot of sense. And I kind of thought that it was going to happen as just the way the last few weeks have gone. But mid-season, I never would have guessed that he would be the one that they would sign, because Drew Peterson was with us all year on the road in the locker room, and like I didn't see JD for most of that. So it kind of switched. I think maybe Baylor's ascension was a part of that too, but.
That's a good point. Bailey looks like
Jimmy hasn't heard a thing you guys said. Jimmy, follow.
I've been listening this whole time. Yeah. A lot of JD Davison talk. I understand everything, John. Thank you.
You got it?
Yeah, I was listening.
What are your thoughts?
I listen to Noah, and not so much you, but I do listen to Noah when she speaks.
That's what you should be doing.
Also, she is her and Bobby are kind of like the unofficial Maine Celtics insiders, so I actually do believe what they say.
That's why I wanted to get his contract. I was like, let me get my first piece of official reporting. If I'm ever going to get something, it's going to be JD's contract. So. And
that was and congrats to you for that. And we have a comment here. Noah, congrats on marketing JD. He finally got that 2-year contract. So I don't know if
and here's $5 for you.
Did you
Noah.
give him the deal?
I haven't seen like the terms of the contract, but I'm hoping, Noah, that there's a little cut for you in there, because I do feel
there
like
is, 20%.
No one knew what was going on with JD.
It's the 4% agent fee. Yeah,
I know Bobby still has his fingers crossed for the Kornet deal coming up.
$20 million.
Yeah, he still thinks he's going to get a cut of that too. But
it'll be a little more lucrative than this one.
No, we said it earlier. We said it earlier in the show, Noah. This game means this. Even though it's game 82 and it means nothing in the standings, it means a lot for the players that are out there on the court. JD Davison obviously being one.
I thought this one meant a lot for Shireman too.
It meant a lot for Shireman. Probably not his best outing, but just missed a couple of shots. But watching Joe coach as hard as he typically does, it's a testament to Joe, and it's because he owes it to his guys that he knows what's at stake for some of these guys that are playing in this game or getting this start. And it's good to see Davison out there getting some burn. We don't know what's going to happen. He still has to earn the roster spot next year, coming out of Summer League. But it was a nice gesture, certainly. And I think he's definitely earned that right to further try to earn that one of those roster spots and, get the roster spot tonight going into the playoffs and all that stuff. So good for them. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend that I know what's in the future for some of these guys, or if they do have a role on this team or in the league, or if Europe's the best spot for them or whatever it is. But, you do have to give them credit for, especially Davison. It's tough going back and forth the way that he has, I'm sure. And Maine isn't exactly the most exotic or, probably fun, commute to be making. And but I
can't think of a place more different than Alabama than Maine.
Probably right. Yeah. When it comes to America, certainly. But it's fun to watch these guys develop, and you guys have obviously had a front row seat to that. So I'm sure you've been able to notice where they've grown and where they've improved the most over the last, year or two.
I'm curious, Bobby, you had made a point about, you thought this was a big game for Baylor coming in. I'm curious, why did you think that? Because he's already shown that he can play at this level in the stints that he's had. So I'm curious why you thought this was a big game.
Because I think the role he played tonight is what he's going to have to play when he gets a full-time role eventually. Like, it's going to have to be off the dribble, handoffs, situations where he can set himself and others up. And I like the way he was passing the ball in this one, but he really struggled to get a shot off against, back end bench guys on Charlotte here. And, there were some good looks that just didn't go down, but he struggled offensively in this one. And part of that doesn't surprise me because we haven't seen him a lot in this role this year. And even on Wednesday against Orlando, I was screaming for more ball time for him when Pritchard was handling the ball that whole night. So this being the first game he really played in that role, and then playing like an unconventional offense with guys who don't play together, I don't take a ton from it, but it was a struggle for him at times offensively in this one. And this is where I think he'll actually fit in the league in this kind of role.
Okay.
I didn't have much more on that. No, I think you're right.
Bobby was looking to Noah to take the ball, and she was like, nah.
I mean,
listen,
I already
straight
talked
ahead.
too much. I was like, I don't need to do a Baylor Shireman thing. I want to reserve that for things that have
She's
strong
thinking
opinions.
JD's
body
contract.
language.
Why did I
He
only
was-
ask for
he had
20%?
handed
I
it
should
to
get
you.
40.
I
He
think
had
it's,
handed it to you.
if you didn't see the
I
game,
just-
if you didn't see the
I'm
game,
rationing my speeches, John. I'm
He
rationing.
was watching Davison the
No,
whole game.
we need more of you guys.
Even when he was on the
we're,
bench.
we're out of shit to talk about. When you
Yeah,
guys come
yeah.
on, we want all the Noah and
What did
Bobby
he shoot?
takes. Yeah.
What did he shoot? What was
2
his
of
final?
14.
Have we shouted out Jordan Walsh's clutch 3? I know it hasn't been the best year for Jordan, but he had some
No.
big plays down the stretch here. That was
He
one of his
did.
better showings. So
He did. He looked good. He looked active, and he always looked.
Yeah.
The athleticism always pops with him. It's just the out of control, like the spazziness of like everything's moving so
he
fast.
was
You
less
know,
spazzy tonight, I thought.
way less,
You
way
know.
less. He
Think
looked.
about him
I
coming
liked
out of
him. I
the
liked him a lot today. I really did.
Yeah, me
He
too.
looked way.
And I know,
and
I feel like
Yeah,
I was gonna say he's one of
gonna
those
say-
guys that.
You say it. You say it. We're on slight delay.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I always wonder the pressure of when you do put those guys out in bit moments, like with the other starters out there, how much harder it is to be yourself, you know, versus a game where it's like among these guys, I can do stuff.
They're
Well,
in
yeah,
more of a
and-
similar role that they're used to, right? It's more of
Yeah.
like a
Oh, right. It's like this is what I do in Maine. Like with this group, I can be myself even if the competition is stiffer. But when you're out there, even if there is a Tatum or a Brown or somebody else out there, it's like, yeah, geez, I should just give it to those guys and get out of the way. So I don't know if that factors in, or what you were going to say that was totally unrelated to that, Noah.
No, I was gonna say I think there was a lot of excitement around Jordan when he was first drafted, had that good summer league, and then earlier this season it looked like he was maybe gonna carve a little bit of those backup wing minutes. I did a couple stories on it with Jaylen and Hauser battling different things, and then I think he's not the guy that people are most excited about anymore because there's been other guys like Baylor Shireman that have shown a lot more promise faster. But at the end of the day, he's still really young. I think he's 20. He's still in the earlier parts of that trajectory, and while if I had to poll the average Celtics fan, I think most people aren't super excited about him anymore. People are a little bit down on him. He's shown some good flashes here down the stretch of the season. I don't know if it means anything for him. I don't really know what to think about his game. I like his physical tools, and I think the shot has looked a lot better. Statistically, it's still so low volume that it's something that I can really make much assertions of. But if you're looking for a bright spot for Jordan, he really did look a lot better tonight than he has in most of these runs. And again, I do think he falls a little bit in that camp of the opportunities have come so few and far between. Earlier in the season when he was playing, he was attempting 2 shots a game. So it's if he missed those 2 shots, he was at 0% for the month because he was getting so few opportunities. So he's just another one of those guys that's in a tough spot with trying to break through it. And I'm doing a story right now on the stay ready guys and just the psychology of sitting on the bench and trying to find a way to be impactful. And it's very obvious that the older guys like Xavier Tillman, like Luke, they have found ways
Luke's not
psychologically, but he was for a long time. And so they just know how to do it. And I think for someone like Jordan, it's just a mental adjustment too, to figure it out how to stay warm. It's so hard,
Guys, we're gonna do a quick look ahead with some of the playoff stuff. And again, I know we've previewed Atlanta and Orlando. I'm actually curious which one you think is harder. I've seen some people and some polls and some opinions online I don't necessarily agree with. So I do want your take on that. We'll put a bow on tonight's game as well, and just kind of a little global look at the season before we head into playoff preview mode, which we're going to start next week. I will say, Mason, you're good, buddy. No worries. Andrew, you're safe too. No, don't sweat anything. Real quick, we want to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors before we move forward, and that, of course, is Game Time. And again, you want to get in on the action. This is where you're gonna probably have to check out Game Time. It's going to be hard to get these Celtics tickets, and you want to go check them out in their quest for a repeat title. Go to Game Time right now. Terrific app, all in pricing, so you know what you're going to pay. No surprise fees at checkout. Great seat views, where you see panoramic view from your seat, exactly what you're going to get. And as they like to say, take the guesswork out of buying the tickets. Just go to Game Time. Your purchase is covered. Flexible customer service. Game Time guarantee. Credit you 110% the difference if you find a better deal. So check it out. Download the app. and use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Once again, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. What time is it, guys? It is most certainly game time. Bringing it back to the thing here. And guys, what do you think? We've got the play-in game on Tuesday. Do you have a preference in terms of, let's ask two questions. Who do you want to see? Because it's more fun. I don't care about the city, and I don't care where Amit wants to go because I'm not letting him go anywhere. He's grounded. But in terms of both, who do you want to see for the fun aspect of it? And who do you also think is a tougher matchup?
It's the Magic. I don't even think it's close. Like the Hawks are decimated right now. There's a young thing. There's familiarity there, and I think people know those players a little more. But the Magic are so much better at one thing, which is the defense. And I know no one played down there on Wednesday, but you did see how tough they are to score on, how tough they are to separate from. They'd actually be really interesting, I think, in actually pushing a series longer than you would expect if they had Jalen Suggs. But who knows? We'll see where the Celtics are at health-wise and all that. And they've been such a difficult matchup for Boston in the past that I do think if Paolo, who scored 30 points per game for 20 straight games recently, as well as Franz, who's played great basketball at points in his career, those guys can reach a certain level there offensively. They suddenly become a team that could take you 6 if things break a certain way for them. Now, the 3-point difference between the Celtics and Magic is as big as you can imagine for any two teams. And I think it's going to be hard for Boston to lose games with that being in the backdrop of this thing. But you have stars in Paolo and Franz. You have a defense that is really going to test you and looks like some of the defenses you might play later. And it's just something new. So I'm all the way in the Orlando camp.
I would say Orlando is, I would agree, definitely the better team. The defense is a massive difference. The question is, do you want to play the better team or not in the first round?
This is where we'll split with the fans. Yeah.
No, last year I felt confident that the Celtics should look to play the best team possible in the first round, especially Miami. Get over that mental hurdle with Miami. Prepare for a deep playoff run. This year, I don't know if I feel like they need to be really tested in the first round with the injuries, with the fact that I don't think they're going to like overlook people. I think they might be better off with the worst of the two teams, which I still think is Atlanta. So if I had to pick for the Celtics, I think Atlanta's probably who they should be vying for. But like you said, the 3-point difference gives you a lot of confidence. It's just that's more variable than Orlando's like physicality and length and all that. Like that's going to test the Celtics more.
I think you sweep Atlanta.
Just where they're at right now as a team, I would just pick the easiest first round you can get and let Jaylen play not that much and whatever else.
So which one's the easiest to you? Atlanta?
I think Atlanta. Yeah.
That's interesting. I think Atlanta's going to be harder for them.
Really?
Atlanta's tough because their coach knows how to coach against Joe so well. Like, there's so many coaches I watch who just don't have a clue. And Thibodeau's at the top of the list, unfortunately. Sorry to him. They don't know how to coach against Joe and what the Celtics are trying to do.
No.
The 3-point margin and all that. The Hawks send everyone at the boards because they know they need to.
Yeah.
They ramp up their threes because they know they need to. And they play the style that actually challenges Boston. So I'll give them that. But they have a guy you've never heard of playing the 4 right now in Mohamed Gay. Clint's down. Jalen Johnson's down. So they're really decimated.
Yeah.
I think
Trae Young hit so
he plays the Celtics tough, yeah.
I think Celtics won't have a problem with either team. I do think the Hawks might be a little bit more difficult just because they can score. Orlando's offense, you can talk about the defense all you want, but their offense is pathetic. It's like arguably the worst offense in the league.
I think Atlanta might be a bigger challenge for that very reason, Jim, because think about it. The Celtics had no one who could defend, and Orlando still couldn't break 100 on them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to me, that
was pretty stark. Yeah.
I mean, I figured that Orlando would win, but I figured they'd win 110 to 97 or something like that. They couldn't even break 100 on that team.
I mean, Celtics would have to really shoot like so damn poorly.
Yeah.
To lose to like Orlando, like enough
sales tax percentage shooting.
Yeah, right.
You look at the season series too. The first game, the Celtics lost to the Magic. Tatum got sick before the game and didn't play, so that was kind of a fluky one. Celtics beat them pretty handily the second time when they actually had their guys, and then the third game was that one on Wednesday, which didn't matter. But the Hawks did actually, albeit with Jalen Johnson, beat the Celtics straight up twice. I don't know who was missing on the Boston side in those ones specifically, but they came into the Garden twice.
No DeAndre Hunter anymore either.
Played real games and actually won. And they have Karis LeVert in his place, which is enough.
That's a downgrade from Hunter.
It is.
And they got rid of Bogey, who I love. Like he can win you a playoff game too. So I don't know. I think that Atlanta, I'm surprised they're even in the mix though, because they sent away so many good guys mid-season that I was like, are they just tanking? And now here they are again, where they've been every year in the play-in, finding themselves in the spot. So.
Ricochet scored 30 like that.
38 a few games ago.
Really scored.
Yeah.
Good.
He's had a weird.
Never play good, unfortunately.
He's had a weird. I mean, he's up. I mean,
Daniels.
Yeah, he scored. He's 16 points per game in April, and then he's 15 points per game. I'm sorry, 16 points per game in March, 15 in April with a 38-point game. But he also had 6 in 10 minutes last game. I'm not sure if he got hurt or got pulled or they just didn't want to play him a lot. But he's definitely shown. He's better than some people thought in the early going. Yeah,
the Hawks looked like a home court team when they were healthy, potentially. The Magic haven't been good even when they've been healthy, which
Magic disappointed me.
This conversation.
Yeah,
they had a lot of injuries too this year, but yeah, they largely disappointed.
Even when healthy, they weren't great.
Well, when they came back healthy, I thought they'd be a little bit better, and it wasn't. It wasn't.
They were like better when Paolo was out for a while. They were hanging in there, and then they kind of fell off.
I never thought I'd see a bottom 5 offense in the playoffs, but I mean, they might not even make the playoffs. They still got to play in, so we'll see.
I want to go to Atlanta first. I know you don't care, but that's where I want to go.
She said not to
I
say
know,
which
but I'm
city
just
you
saying
wanna
that's where I want to go.
Where do you want to go, Noah?
I want to go to Atlanta. Orlando was so boring. It was like a highway.
What would you do in Atlanta?
It is. It's more
It's
of
like
a city.
Like I can go outside and like
Yeah.
grab some food on the street. Like
Yeah, Orlando's rough.
Text Ahmed. Ahmed knows all the places to go in Atlanta.
I'll text
He does. He does.
Why do we need to text him?
I'm
He's
gonna
right
actually
here.
be friends in Atlanta. That's what
So you could just get him on the show right now. He can give us the breakdown.
I'm gonna do on my stool.
It's not going. Luke Kornet. We talked about how good he was tonight and the importance of
I told you
him
he's good
in the
every night
playoffs.
now.
Well, we were talking about. I really do. I like the the physicality and the way that he played tonight. But also, Luke's not just playing because he is a good teammate. He's playing for individual accolades. He told us in a press conference after the game.
That commercial you did with D White was hilarious. Can we get the origin story and why are Tommy points important to you?
Well, the real origin, we have like this little organizational thing called like the 3T Awards that kind of recognizes people of good teammates and stuff like that, which Derek won last year. So I was already prepping a slander campaign for that. Well, I've been thinking about that for a long time. And then the Tommy Award thing came up in the interview the other day, and I was like, well, I gotta, And Tommy Awards, I think, are important to me because a desperation for individual recognition, which is what it's all about, I think, in the end, right?
That appeared to be a very physical game. I'm wondering how you felt like you fared in that, and then just more broadly, as you've been focusing your attention like closer and closer to the rim, how you fared with increased physicality as part of your day-to-day life.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was obviously like Nurkic and Diabate and Gibson and stuff, and just having a lot of guys that were just crashing and stuff like that, where rebounding was really important. I feel like, games just kind of come and go of different styles of play, and it's something you just kind of have to accept and embrace to be able to continue to compete and just continue to try to win games. And I feel like, just like embracing that side of the game and knowing that it's an aspect that's important. I feel like especially our guys in the last couple minutes made some great plays in terms of getting some rebounds or making plays around the rim defensively, and I think that was what kind of helped us be able to get that win. But it's just an important element that you need to be able to compete, and especially
Physicality. Okay, we talked about it. We lost Jimmy, which I don't mind because No, I'm just kidding. Jimmy was a good soldier. He was going to sit this one out, but we weren't sure if we were going to make it. I was at the game. Sherrod is in Detroit giving a lecture, but we don't take games off here, and that's why we wanted to make it. But yeah, Luke was awesome. But the personality stuff is just, I mean, he's just so friggin' good.
We're gonna miss him when he's gone.
Yeah, Bobby.
That Derek White, that commercial was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It was so well done.
I thought
put it together.
I talked to the
His
producer.
His idea.
I talked to the producer behind the scenes. I was certain they were going to do a Derek White, my opponent, retraction today, but there was nothing from White. I thought they were going to go back and forth with it, and it didn't happen. I really wanted to see the D White version.
I don't think
I
Derek
wanted to
has
see the D White
that,
version
yeah.
today. Yeah.
I don't think you can compete.
No, he can't. Kess jumped in earlier to ask a question, and I can't find it, but I'm gonna put it out there because I'm just curious. You guys, we were talking about Joe and how if all of us, Noah's excluded here because she wasn't part of the show during Joe's year one, and some of the shit that we gave him, fans gave him, just in general, questioning whether or not, and again, the circumstances for which he took over, it was going to be difficult for anybody to be successful. If there was to be a group apology cam, I think it would go to Joe Mazzulla, just in terms of how he's completely flipped the narrative on what people thought he was on year one and who he actually is now. And Kess had asked, rate them, the three coaches during this run of Jaylen and Jason's kind of tenure and career here. Brad, Ime, and Joe. Go.
Who goes first? It's an interesting one. It's close. I think Joe's had the most success. You know, 60-win seasons back to back. Obviously had the best team here, so I'd put him second. I think Brad probably goes first because the stuff he did with those
Brad's
teams
one.
and how, oh my God, think back to the rosters they had and how bad they were of a position they were in at first, and they were still so good that first year right away. And then year two, they're in the playoffs, and then they're in East Finals and all the way down the line. His message obviously wore down as time went on. He coached for a long time here, so I think he's racked up the most wins and all that as well. But I think if you're just relative to the talent they had, I think you're probably putting Brad 1, Joe 2, and then Ime 3. I mean, what he's done this year has been amazing with Houston. The first year with Boston was awesome as well, but we don't really have 3 years of him coaching, and one last year was pretty mediocre with Houston, and the one with Boston started up and down too, a lot of offensive issues that year, and he's obviously, a personal favorite of mine, covering him. I loved covering Ime, but I think just being fair, going off the results, probably Brad, Joe, Ime.
This is tough.
Noah doesn't like lists or blame, so I'm going to make her go next.
This is a tough list.
Oh, we're all doing this?
Oh, yeah.
I thought I was kind of excluded. I was.
No, you're excluded from being. You're excluded because
You
I don't know how
say
you
that.
felt about Joe in
I'm
year
excluded
one.
from the apology cam.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how I felt about Joe year one. I don't want to put up 100 disclaimers, but it's so hard. You're comparing guys that were in completely different. It's almost like comparing a
It's
point guard.
extremely hard.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
That's why I put
I'm gonna
Brad
I'll
first.
give Joe the title because he won.
Won a
They won the championship, right? That's how you
Yeah.
measure success in this league. So I'll give it to Joe. Obviously, he was in the best spot, and he joked the other night he was born on third base. I thought that was funny that when talking about first year head coach positions versus like Charles Lee where he's starting. So I'll give number 1 to Joe. I mean, Brad, it's like, are you talking about early years Brad or late years Brad? Obviously, early years Brad was a great coach, and late years it wore off, like you said.
2020 still made the finals.
Yeah, or like last year, I
Can I-
guess. I don't know. Do I have?
Yeah.
I have to.
She kind of just did. I feel like she just
Okay,
did.
I'm gonna do Joe. I'll do Joe, and then I don't think it's fair to put Ime at third when we've only ever seen a good body of work for him. So, but I guess
last
he's
year
in
was
third.
okay.
I guess he's in third. So I'll do Joe, Brad, Ime.
Here's
I
okay.
hate
Here
Ime
we
last.
go. Joe won
It was
because
good.
Joe's the only one of those three who actually achieved the ultimate goal, which
That's
is to win
a
a
big,
title.
big edge.
I put
Yeah.
Ime number 2 because Ime, in incredibly
Wow.
short window of time, came as close as you could potentially come to winning a title. And I put Brad 3 because Brad, frankly, didn't get as far down the road of the ultimate goal as the other two.
Yeah.
Now,
that's fair.
I'm
Here's the
putting-
thing, too.
Oh,
Ime,
Jimmy's back.
I've been here I've just been
just
listening.
marinating.
He was freshening his hard hat.
I thought he left. We already had your
He
whole
had
parting
the,
word.
he had to shine his hard hat.
I said
Yeah.
I'd be right back in the private chat, which I know you guys can't read, but John can. I said I'll be back in 1 minute. I
1
come back
minute.
in a minute.
John was like, "We thank Jimmy for his services today."
I literally said I'll be back in 1 minute. I come back and I've been completely forgotten.
Rest in
Completely
peace.
forgotten.
I thought I
Sherrod,
heard his voice too, but I was like, that can't be Jimmy.
Sherrod, did you have anything else to say?
No,
before I go?
I just want to keep it real short and sweet and
That's
give
fine.
you as much time as you need, Jimmy.
No.
'Cause clearly you were short.
That was salient, Sherrod.
I'm
convinced.
I agree with a little bit of what everybody said. I'm gonna go with
Thanks,
Joe.
Jimmy.
I'm gonna go with Joe 1 because again, like you guys said, he ultimately did win the championship, and so that's what matters. And yes, he was kind of born on third base, but you still have to do it. You know, he did come into an awkward situation. He was kind of thrust into it late into the year,
And he survived it.
early. Yeah, exactly. Last second, kind of thrusted into it, and he proved all the doubters wrong. And he still kind of is. Like, I mean, to follow up a championship season with another 60+ win season is not easy to do. So I do give him credit for that. So he gets number 1 for me. 2 goes to Brad. Brad was a floor raiser, not a ceiling raiser. So to Bobby's point, he was able to get a lot out of mediocre players and bad players and sort of raise them up. But where he failed was being able to ultimately get
The psychological
best
part,
players
maybe.
to the promised land. Yeah, exactly. And then he did kind of lose the locker room, and that's when we saw crazy changes being made, and Danny goes and Brad gets moved and all that stuff. So, but there are a lot of great things to like about what Brad did, turning the organization around, taking them from where they were to where they are now, and he kind of handed the baton off. Now, Ime gets third for me, and it's a distant third because he fumbled the bag. Is basically what happened. You can, at the end of the day, who knows who's guilty of what and what went down. But at the end of the day, the Celtics felt like they need to fire this guy. And so to me, if you're the coach of a team, you're the leader of men, you're setting the example. That's part of coaching. It's not just on the court stuff, it's off the court stuff. And so whatever he did, they felt it was bad enough where they said, you got to go, man. And so
if we eliminated that from consideration, Jimmy, you might not be able to separate those, but if you eliminated that altogether, because obviously he's only here for 1 year anyway, so that the fact that it's a short tenure, it's hard to judge as it is. Yeah,
exactly. It's
Which
a
is
small sample size.
I boiled it down to what was the ultimate goal: win a championship.
Yeah. So here's the one way I would look at it. It's really hard to talk about it because Brad needed to be the coach with that first unit, because it was more of like he was the bridge little engine that could sort of team, coaching guys that he can coach, and Brad was brutal with stars. He was brutal with them. Yep. He was, I'm sorry. So Brad's the automatic third for me. And that's the easiest part. Yes. It is the automatic third. And
I did forget about the Kyrie year. That was really bad.
And I'll tell you this, I don't think Brad, so here's the bridge. I don't think Brad gets them to the finals that next year, and Ime did. And that's just my opinion.
Oh yeah.
I also think Ime might have won them a title with if he stayed on as coach, but I don't know that. So Joe's going to get the default one.
Ime thinks that. That's for sure.
But Joe gets the default one for having won it. But I don't know that they would have been less successful with Ime as the coach. And if given time, he might have been able to prove out he got it, but it's too much of a sample size. So it's going to go Joe, Ime, and Brad for me. But Brad was great with people and born to be a coach. I don't know that he was the right guy for this for this team and could have continued on much longer. So he is sadly a distant third in that ranking. And he was
he needed to go when he went.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Part of what's tough is that the stars that Joe coached were much older, much more experienced, mentally in a very different place. So the way that Jaylen and Jason and those guys have bought into Joe at age 27, who's to say if they would have bought it at age 22, right? So that's why it's so hard to compare across. Yeah. It's like comparing guys across eras of basketball. It's like you just can't. I will say that when we were in Houston, when I was in Houston for that Celtics Houston game earlier in the year, somebody asked Ime about them winning the championship, and he said like that was happening anyways. I thought it was a funny quote that never really got picked up, maybe because I didn't tweet it out.
What was it?
Ime said that was happening anyways, like basically being like they were gonna win the championship event in the next few years regardless. Like he didn't say regardless of who's the coach, but that was the undertone.
These guys were destined to win the title.
Like these guys were on the cusp of a title. It was gonna either happen 22 or 23 or 24. Like it was there, right?
I've gotten that vibe from Ime.
That's the vibe that he carries, I think.
I love Ime, and
I don't think you can say enough about in that Western Conference with that team that didn't even go to the playoffs last year. They didn't make the playoffs. I don't even think they made the play-in. There's a 2 seed, and it was done earlier this week. There wasn't even a race on the last day for it. They solidified the 2 seed. Now, what are they going to do with that? We'll see. It's still a team that I have a tough time believing in when it gets to playoff time here. But, man, when you think about where they were in 2021 to 2022 and now this, that guy can coach his ass off.
This is the other this comment up here that I'm putting up here. This is where Joe separates for me as well. This was another thing where, again, if you take the media and the fan collective watching Joe and his philosophy, shoot the threes, got to win the volume, and all the stuff he was insisting on, and we're like, this guy's insane. Like, chill, coach the game, feel what it needs, and this and that. Joe's been right about all of it. The approach. 100%, all of it. And that's another reason why, like I said, is the collective apology cam, from too many threes to double big and all of the things that people were certain were
double
killing this
big
team.
too.
He's seeing it. We all hated it because it would go to him like, we got to abandon this. Yeah, but you're stubborn. Even when it didn't work, you loved it. But eventually, Joe, when they trust it,
he may invent
and
it
when they do it, I hated it, but because it seems like, and it was tough. Double big then when you also had Marcus Smart was brutal with that Ime year because it felt so crappy because there's just not enough shooting with Rob and Marcus
at times that year,
and Marcus on that court. But both Ime and Joe can coach like friggin' crazy, and Ime gets a ton out of people. Ime, however, I think does have an expiration date because he's an asshole, and like eventually, like you can only coach guys as hard as he coaches them for a while, right? And they're on board for
at some point.
But he wears you out. I don't think Joe is that
Joe's
type
pretty
of guy.
adaptable. With what
He's
the team
adaptable.
needs.
He listens to his players. He's intense, but and he's hyper focused on detail, but I don't think he's one of those guys that grinds people like some of these other guys do. And I do think Ime does.
You know what the biggest thing I think about Joe is that he treats everybody completely different based off of what that person's personality is like, what pushes their buttons. Like, he's a yeller to some guys. To some guys, he's not a yeller. I noticed it with Jaylen. Like, he talks to Jaylen differently. You can see it on the bench, even with the Stay Ready guys, the way he was coaching up Baylor. Like, he's a little tough on Baylor. I can tell that Baylor can handle that.
He kills Kata. He chops his head off.
He completely changes his MO. And I don't know. I don't cover Ime. But Ime, to me, seems like he'll go out and rip anybody in a post-game presser.
I love Ime's post-game pressers.
But I don't know that they're effective for every single kind of player. I think some guys, you rip them in a post-game presser, that doesn't necessarily motivate them.
They don't love it. I think that's very underrated. They did it
first because there was one group of guys.
Exactly.
It kept happening. Been very versatile in the kinds of personalities.
By the way, Tatum, this was 2 years ago, I think, said Ime was his favorite coach ever.
I remember.
Yeah, but Brad, they needed that. But they actually everyone to a man said they wanted to be coached harder. There was a lot of parting shots at Brad because it had worked, but it stopped working, and almost everybody agreed. And even Brad himself, a new voice was needed. He couldn't get the most out of them, and so they liked being kicked in the ass, as Noah said, year 1. But who knows in year 2 and year 3 and year 4 if you want a guy like, dude, I'm all NBA and I make $350 million. Like you can. I'm good. Like, keep me honest, but like enough with the treating me like I'm a second-year player. You get a little further along in this league, that does wear on you a tad.
I'll say this too about Joe. I think you can directly attribute Tatum, Brown solving their biggest flaws to the way Joe switched them to playing, like getting off the ball quick, taking a lot of threes so they don't turn it over. All that stuff, the pace, everything. Like, he structured the offense in a way that Ime probably never would have. Maybe, Joe was there, right? They were both on the same staff, so maybe it would have meshed over time. Maybe Joe would have got hired somewhere else. But it is pretty crazy how it worked out and how many issues Joe solved on the fly, especially after that first year. And I said at the end of that year, I would have fired him, but if the team believed in him and they really wanted to roll with him, they should stick with them, and they did, and it was a great decision.
I wanted to pull the plug on Joe after year 1 as well. I was very nervous.
I didn't know that about you guys, but I'm not surprised.
Well, my
I gave that caveat, which was very good for me.
I wasn't worried that Joe couldn't I didn't know what type of coach he was going to become, whether he was going to be league average or one of the best coaches in the league. I just didn't think that they could risk fumbling this group with a small window on another year of shrug my shoulders. I hope Joe can do it. Last year was the all in. They got to win the title that year. Had to, especially with the new, and then bringing in new people. And I was like, you're going to trust Joe, huh? I hope he knows what he's doing. I was really worried about that, but it is what it is.
Speaking of Joe, one of his less favorite players, I'd say, going back to that first year, and Grant Williams was here. And I do have a little bit of a scoop for you guys from Grant. I just caught up with him.
Oh, boy.
Injured. We all remember what happened in November, right? Went like a rocket at Tatum.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about
his
that.
Feet. The nasty foul that drove every Celtics.
They all skipped dinner at his place. Yep.
Yeah.
He had all those wings. No one ate the wings.
Yeah.
So I asked Grant, are him and Tatum cool now? And he said he did talk to Tatum earlier this year, squashed the beef, made things all right, and also said that after tearing his ACL this year, and obviously he's missed most of this year with the ACL tear that happened pretty soon after that, he said he's really rethought his game, had to reevaluate how he plays, the whole nine, and says it's changed his perspective on how he plays and pushing the line and all that sort of stuff. So I'm interested to see, do we get a new Grant next year after that incident, after the ACL tear, sitting back, having some time to reflect. That was what he told me when I caught up with him.
I will say I forgot about that, but I was I accidentally, when I got to the game, I actually sat in the wrong seats for the first bit, and I was on that side and looking at Grant. And then they were like, "No, sir, you're on the other." And just he looked so sad, and he's not like it wasn't reunion-y. He's not out there kind of. I didn't know. Maybe he was prior to the game. Was he out there dapping it up with anybody? I just saw him
chatting with guys after last game, right?
Yeah, he's been catching up with them.
I didn't
There's
see
a lot
it
of
this
overlap
game.
between the staff too. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah. I forgot he was in there, but it's just that the overall sadness seeing, and again, I was critical of both Grant and Marcus as players. I thought fans greatly overvalued and oversold how good they actually were and how important they were to the team. But they both liked being here a lot, and they were good Celtics and they were good Warriors, particularly Smart. I hate seeing them done dirty like
stuff.
I hate seeing them done dirty like this. Being cast off to hell, both of these guys, it's almost
all
like
of them,
mean.
and Brogdon and Rob Williams too. Every guy that left Boston in the last few years is in a terrible spot. It's really remarkable.
Terrible.
Like,
yeah.
It's like I don't understand. And a lot of it is injuries too. Like Grant tears his ACL, he wasn't injury prone. Marcus hasn't played at all. Like
they haven't played.
Tough.
Yeah.
I hope that Grant.
Jaden Springer. Look at him.
Springer. I hope that Grant can recover from the ACL
Can't win them all.
in time to drive Tatum to the all-white party again. Is he the limo driver again?
I knew you were going to say that. I knew the all-white party was going to come up. Like as soon as Jimmy
Jimmy's
started speaking
just
up,
jealous. Jimmy wants to go.
Oh, I could have gone.
I do think
Jimmy
I
could
have a
leave
qualified
anytime.
view on
He's
this
actually
stuff,
liking
too. I
it.
think-
Yeah.
No, he means I want to go to the all-white party, John.
Which
honestly, I don't need to go to that. It's just a bunch of.
I know,
famous
but
people
he's no longer Tatum's
talking
plus
about
one.
He doesn't
themselves.
have anything white.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Neesmith
all white
thrived.
all summer. White tees.
Neesmith thrived.
Neesmith. That's true.
Neesmith's doing well.
Do we know if Romeo even plays basketball recreationally anymore? Like
I haven't looked. That was your guy.
He
John.
shows up
That
to
was
the
your
live.
Springer.
That's such a sad question.
Before Noah,
Like, does he
Does
at
he ever go to the
least
park?
go like? Does he go?
Does he
Yeah,
have
go
shots
to
with his friends.
before Noah put all her stock in Springer, John put all his stock in Romeo. He
I
thought
put all
they
my
were big
stock in
things.
Springer.
Bobby, we've
How
been
much did
clear
you?
about
I
this.
put all my stock in Pritchard.
Okay.
Everybody else,
You
JD has a
put some
sprinkle.
stock in
I
Springer.
don't-
You had some. You
No,
had
I put
share.
some, but
You had
We
some
I
share.
have stock in a
twist
bunch
this.
of young guys.
We can't twist this.
true.
My
You spread
stock
the
in
portfolio out.
was in.
Oh, God.
This is a lost season.
Here we go,
Play
Bobby.
the
Look what you
rookies
did.
and see if they can play. Just make a determination. What we knew that
We'll
season
never
was
know.
going nowhere. It was Brad's last year. Play the friggin' guys. You guys sucked. You weren't going
This is
anywhere
why.
that
This
year.
is why John put Brad last. He benched Romeo.
He didn't. No, he just
John
lost.
went-
It was really
Romeo
when-
benched Romeo.
It was
is
the
pretty
opposite.
remarkable how Brad escaped getting fired like everybody else and found himself.
It was the
in
start.
front
He
office
did. He
as,
got
like, the most
fired up.
beloved GM ever.
I know, it's unreal.
Like Brad is the one guy that had an exit plan that
also-
didn't involve the Shams notification of another guy got fired.
We thought that story was so bogus too. We were like, he's going to be in college in a year. This is just to run out the contract. And they always said he's going to be great. He has a great basketball mind.
It
and
might
that
have been.
actually somehow turned out to be
I
true.
love talking to him. I wish we got him more often.
Honestly, like, we don't know, Bobby. It might have just worked as dumb luck, and that might have been absolutely why they did it. Like, okay, he can't coach, but like, let's just slide him over here because we're paying him a lot of money. That absolutely could have factored into the decision. Not saying it was the entire motivation behind it, but it certainly could have played a role in, like, well, Brad could do this, right? And he's got familiarity, but like, we didn't know that was going to work at all. It's amazing how good a job he's done. Amazing.
I want to know, going back to
He'd
it,
never
whether
thought
that
about doing it.
first-
Yeah.
Whether that first decision, because we had a lot of confusion at the time, that first decision to move Kemba and bring back Al was all on him, or someone else had it set up, or where all that kind of fell into place. Because that was the thing that really set this into motion. If that was his big idea coming in, and he had that level of autonomy and trust, and that's where he was at, moving up to GM at the time, which, again, I think was the case.
Yeah.
That was a big one. And then obviously all
Yeah.
the other ones that followed. He's
And
been
some
unbelievable.
people don't get it. This is a
He's
good
been a
comment
better
from Tony.
GM by miles than he was a coach, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good comment here from Tony, because there are people in here who are like, this is so negative. This is puppy dogs and sunshine and ice cream compared to what this
Oh my
show
God.
was.
Yeah.
In the
What is
last
wrong
year
with
of
people
Brad.
right now?
Yeah, guys, you guys are insanely sensitive. The coverage is mostly like, these guys are really, really, really good, but could
I know.
anything keep them from winning a title? It's like unreal. You have no idea what we put these guys through a couple of years ago. No idea.
How long would I
feel like
lasted?
We've all gotten better.
We were talking about how they had to change the logo and like restructure
No one
the
would have quit the
organization,
show.
and this
Yeah.
team might not
In
be
No,
mid-show.
Bobby,
10 years.
Bobby, you wanted to change the logo. That was crazy talk by you.
The logo.
Yeah.
We were just talking about changing
Bobby was
everything at the
offended
time 'cause
by
they were
like,
in such
by
disarray.
the actual Celtic for a minute there. The Kyrie years
were
were
talking about-
they're dark
I'm
times.
struggling to activate any boomer. Jimmy's mad at me for my lack of boomer rage. It's insane
Yeah.
how people, He's like, John's gonna get mad. I'm like, nah, I'm fine. I don't care. They're
John
fine.
hasn't
No
really
big
felt
deal.
anything in like 2 years,
Yeah, nothing.
comparatively speaking.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah.
The chat was wild. The Discord, holy crap. We'd have people, we'd do a 2-hour show, and then we'd have 300 people hop on Discord just to,
Yeah.
I mean, not
Which is
Discord,
rage.
on Locker Room, just to rage with us for like, it was great.
Can you believe these guys? Yeah. Oh my God.
Kirk came on
Awesome.
and would talk for 2.5 hours about how screwed up they were
Yeah. We
I
had
had
Kirk
Kirk
on.
Yeah.
on the locker room.
Kirk
yeah.
came on Locker Room with us to do stuff. He did a few shows with us too before he got the ESPN gig in full. And he would come on, and one time he just absolutely just eviscerated.
He
a guy
loved Kornet,
who was
by the way.
complaining.
At that time,
You guys remember the
he said,
line?
I-
Remember what he
Yeah,
told
is
the kid?
Yeah. Put some bass in your voice or something.
You're gonna have to put a little bit of more bass in your voice if you're gonna come after me like that.
Hey,
And that-
let's give Kirk
that
some
shut
credit
it
too.
down.
because he came on there one of the first appearances and was like, Bobby, I like your thinking on Luke Kornet. He's gonna be good. Like he was all too, so I'll give him some credit for that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The whole chat wanted to trade Jaylen, wanted to trade Marcus, everybody. Now it's only half. That's fair.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've hung around long enough. There will be shows this week. Follow us for notifications throughout the week. We're going to do some preview shows. We'll do something creative as well. These guys will be covering practice. The opponent will come clear. We'll jump on after you, Bobby. Want to jump on Tuesday after the game?
Yep, should be at 7:00.
Yeah, we'll jump on Tuesday after the game and fresh preview right then and there. The Celtics, first round opponent, which will either be the Hawks or the Orlando Magic. Of course, you can follow everything that Noah and Bobby do. Follow Noah's writing over at Celtics blog, Bobby Manning at CLNSmedia.com, and Sherrod Blakely over on his Substack as they are
We got
going to
another
have us
show
covered
tonight
throughout
as
the
well.
game.
Chris Gasper's hopping on, so join us at 8. We'll preview
Nice.
the playoffs, talk Jaylen, do a little overtime.
And Noah's going to have another You Got Boston coming up live as well if you want more basketball talk. So our cup is full right now with basketball stuff, and it's about to get fun. It's about to get interesting. Could get a little weird, but we do thank all of you guys for hanging in for all 82. Some of you I don't think have missed a show, and we do appreciate that. Even when you give us shit, and we don't care because we love
Let's
it.
go. Regular season in the books.
Fist bump. Look at
Nice,
that. Noah,
nice. Mic bump.
Noah bringing it. That was enthusiastic.
Noah, yeah, we'll work on that.
I didn't know if he was going for the fist bump or for like the mic bump. So I'm sorry.
It was a mic bump.
It was a mic bump.
We'll
good.
work on it.
Noah
It's,
doesn't like anything I'm doing tonight. She's just
Yeah.
Simon takes mic bumps. She doesn't want any of it.
It's okay.
bad.
The Simon one, I understand how in hindsight you really fed it to me, but I had just done like 3 speeches in a row. I had to let somebody else talk. So
The
You know what?
chemistry
It's-
is rough. Yeah.
It's a week off.
Chemistry's
You guys
brutal.
will be able. Yeah, you guys will. Maybe you need a little space just for a couple days. You know, take a week, come back,
Time off.
come back on Easter. It sounds like, and you know, it's the playoffs for everybody, including us. Bring
Easter.
it. Got to bring
That's
it.
me and John's nightmare right now.
John's juggling Easters.
Root for Saturday. Root for Saturday.
Yeah. Let's do it. Grouper? Did you
Grouper,
say you're eating grouper? What did he say?
That's a fish.
Yeah. I know. Is that what he said?
Who said that?
I don't know. I gotta go. We'll see you guys
Nobody's
later.
talking
No
about-
one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me. I'll tell you that.
okay, you know what, John? We're gonna do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have
Say
to
it.
feel
You
that
said
way?
it.
Let's fight out over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We are not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke